Lounge of Travefy Academy, where we get to hear from travel industry voices and experts to learn more about their story and what they see on the horizon for travel professionals. And I'm Stephanie Grice, and our guest today is Nicole Barrett, who's founder and CEO of Aspy Global. So, welcome to the Lounge, Nicole, and thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you here today.
Oh, hey, folks. And hey, Stephanie, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, this is awesome. And so I got to meet you because a user was on one of our other webinars and was like, you need to have Nicole on here. So I'm really excited to connect with you and just chatting with you already. There's so much cool stuff. So I'm excited to dig into, email marketing and all of that juicy stuff. But
Oh, well, that's awesome because I will tell you, but after we spoke on the phone and you said someone said you have to have Nicole, and I'm like, wait a minute, who is that someone? And I should send them flowers or something.
yes, I know. I can't remember. I'll have to look it up. And I wonder if they're listening. If you're listening, send us an email and we will figure this out. Because
Slide into our
to
DMs, let
dig
us
into it.
know.
I know it's so
Yes.
awesome. But I'm also curious too. And before we dive into email marketing and share more about your expertise, but how did you find yourself in the travel industry in the first place?
Oh my goodness. So I actually started out in hotel and restaurant management, which is, what I studied back in college. I am one of those people who I'm grateful to be doing the thing I studied in school, if that makes sense, or
Yeah.
a variation of it, right? So prior to working in the travel industry, I worked for companies like Walt Disney World, Fairmont Hotels, and I was working at Starwood hotels, when it was a Sheraton back then. And I was working in their sales department as a convention sales manager or convention sales manager. Yeah, convention manager. And I saw this job come up for Sandals Resorts. And it's a company that I had on, my kind of, mental vision board, if you want to call it like that, to work with. So Sandals and Beach Resorts back in the day, I always wanted to work for them. And I saw this job come up and I said, okay, let me apply. And it's for BDM for part of Massachusetts at that time, because that's where I resided. That's where I live now. And I applied for it and I got the job. I got the job. And so I ended up being with Sandals for about 13 years, started off as a BDM, and then I moved up in the company to become a senior BDM, and then a group sales manager for the East Coast. And then I ended my career there in 2018 after 6 years of being director of sales and marketing for the Northeast region.
That is awesome. That's really
Yeah.
cool. And so how did you start now Aspy Global?
Yes. So, after 13 years with a wonderful company, I learned so much, grew so much. And, in over those 13 years, I really, really loved what I was doing. It's one of those days where you're like, oh my gosh, you wake up and 13 years have passed because you really had a wonderful time, right? But over those years, I came to know and hung out with and had drinks with and, trained with and learned with or among thousands of travel agents who to this day a lot of them are friends, their colleagues, their clients, right? We still keep in touch, and then just in talking with them, whether it is in their offices downtown Boston or backcountry Maine or Panera Bread in Rhode Island, right? In talking to them, you learn their deepest fears in terms of them showing up in their businesses, right? Because a lot of times it's they're selling. They come to the workshops. They come on the FAMs. You're in your office. You're giving them brochures. You're telling them about the product. But deep down on the inside, there is that factor of they are afraid or of showing up to market their businesses, right? Because you and I both know that companies, big, travel companies or resort chain companies, they sell themselves. They spend millions of dollars on ads. The brochures speak for themselves. The videos, YouTube videos speak for themselves. And so when you have this mom and pop or this young lady who's just entered the industry, how do they now convince their audience, or how, if they even have an audience, how do they now convince their audience to book with them? Or how do they now go out and find this audience that is perfect for what they have to offer or what they believe their niche is? So in speaking to them, I started to see a void And I said, you know what, this is something that is right, wasn't necessarily on tapped, but at that time it wasn't as tapped as it is right now, right? So I said, you know what, I want to start a business where I help that travel agent, that travel advisor, that travel company, because I also work with boutique hotels as well, show up in spaces where they belong. I also work with tour companies to help them find their audience in the North American region too. Show up where they belong without having to spend, or money that they don't have, millions of dollars to do that.
Mhm.
So
That's so true. In the industry, that's what we hear all the time too is, you get into it because you have a passion for travel and for
right,
helping people plan their travel, but the other part of it is you actually are running a business. And part of that's
exactly.
marketing. It's really hard. It's really hard.
It
So,
is really hard, and you're right. People get into the business because they were planning their family vacation. They've been their
mhm.
family vacation planner for the past 10 years, and they plan every year to Disney, and maybe they go, for a week in Europe every summer, and they really start to say, you know what, I could do this as a business. And then when you think of, okay, I have to actually establish a business now, a lot of the things that comes to mind, Stephanie, are things like, oh, taxes, oh, business
Yeah.
cards, oh, logo, right? But the other side of business, you have no use for a business card, no use for a logo, no use to pay business taxes if you don't have clients, right? So there's
Mhm.
the marketing side of it, and a lot of people don't necessarily think of that. The first thing they do when they start a business is design the logo and come up with the name, right?
Yeah. It's kind of the fun
Yeah.
part too. It always is kind of like the
Yeah,
really fun part. And then you're like, okay, now I have to go find the people. And so,
exactly. And when I
yeah.
find them, how do I establish
Yes.
credibility and authority to say, hey, book with me instead of, so and so.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so
Yeah.
many aspects to it. And so when it comes to email marketing, so I actually want to ask you too, like, what your thoughts are on how you can get those people in the email marketing list, because I know that's a really big question that we see a lot of times on webinars and content, that they're like, this is, how can I grow that list? But
Right.
what would you say, what is email marketing looking like today versus what it
Mm-hmm.
used to be? Because now they've been around for a long time now, and there's this crazy change of them and everything, and trying
Yes.
to beat through all the other emails someone gets. So what is it looking like today versus what it might have looked like before?
Well, I will tell you, an email address these days is gold, isn't it? I
Yes,
mean, I mean,
100%.
it's
Yeah.
gold. It's like you have struck gold and you're like, hallelujah, right? Because back in the day, you signed up for everything. Oh, I'll get on that list. Absolutely, send me all the
Mhm.
coupons. Absolutely, I want to know about veterinary service in my area. We got on all the lists, but today we're very cautious. So for someone to get your email address, it's it's gold, right? But I'm going to back up a little bit and answer the first part of your question in terms of how does someone now get someone else's email, right? How do we go out there and find the audience using email marketing? It's very important to note that a lot of the resources and the tools that we have on hand today that include social media, they work hand in hand with email marketing. Because otherwise, if you decide, okay, I'm going to grow my email list, and that's what I'm going to concentrate on, you're going to have a hard time if you don't incorporate a lot of the things that's already working, like social media, like doing videos, like showing up, like networking, grassroots and otherwise, digitally and otherwise, right? So in order to do that, the first thing I always say is have a signature offer or a signature lead magnet. And a lead magnet, as you may know, for those of you who don't know, is something that you give to someone in exchange for this gold of an email address, preferably, right? But it also has to be helpful, and it works better when it's less generic. So generic meaning we're not saying here's a packing list for the Caribbean. While that's great and that's something that you can offer your audience, if you go a little bit more niche to say, a packing list for families traveling with toddlers, right? Or a packing list for, something else, a destination wedding bride getting married in the winter in South America, right? You can get very, very specific. So you want to have that signature lead magnet that really speaks to your niche. And, an example I always give is if you are in a room full of people and you're networking, and there's 100 people in the room, and you get the chance to go on stage to speak for 2 minutes, and they say, "Oh, Nicole, Barrett, welcome on stage," and I go up there and I start talking, and 5 seconds later say, "Oh, Nicole, they're towing your car," right? And I have to rush off the stage. If I just have this one signature lead magnet that's hosted in this one very special place that everyone can find, it could be nicolesawesometravel.com/packing list. If that is all I have to say, and then run, on the stage, and then rush off the stage to go get my car that's being towed, that's all that matters. So you want that signature lead magnet that speaks to everyone, that you can easily share to everyone or to anyone within a few seconds, right? So you want a signature lead magnet. Now, in terms of how all that has changed to what it looks like now, what a lead magnet looks like now, back in the day, it could be a PDF. Have you seen those PDF lead magnets?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's the, a lot of people do that. That's the more popular one. You do a PDF lead magnet, but a lead magnet these days can look like a video. So instead of putting everything into a PDF, you can do a video with tips, with information, with tools and resources that your audience would absolutely love. And not only will they love them, they will actually use them, right? So we want to share information that is information that is helpful, that they can get a quick win out of right away, right? And it also, email marketing today, like I said earlier, incorporates, social media. It incorporates different videos because you're marketing across the board as well.
Yeah, that's so true. I actually never really thought about that, where or it's just like a link on a page, then you download the PDF, but you could just whip something up so quickly. So I really like that idea, because there's also a lot of people who are probably like, okay, well, how do I, create that? Which I know there's a lot of resources, and we'll chat about that. But I mean, you could do a video right now today. Yeah. And it's ready.
Easily. I mean,
So
I
cool.
find that for me, it's easier for me to do a video as a lead magnet than it is to put together a PDF, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because if I have, I'm a talker, right? So maybe that's why it really helps me. But if I have bullet points and, on what I want to say, I can easily just, do them in a live video and save that video for download or upload later, right? Versus trying to put all the words on a PDF or your Google Doc and then converting that to a PDF, designing it in Canva, make sure all the grammar and the spelling and the typos are all set, sending it to a family member for review, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of that, right? Yeah.
There's so many more steps to it. And maybe that's the same. I'm a talker as well. And so, I wonder, I'm like, oh, video, how easy. But maybe for some listening, if you're not, and it's okay, you can do the PDF. There's other options, which is the great thing.
And the other option too, think about it. This is a podcast, right? You can have a podcast that's only available as a download for someone who gives you their email address too. So if you don't want to be on video, it could be an audio. It could be something simple like that. And that's just one of the ways that email marketing has changed over the years.
Oh, that's incredible. It's really cool. It's fun stuff too. Like when you start breaking it down, you're like, oh, that sounds fun to make, and getting all that, and really cool. And so we were talking about, videos and the PDFs, just lead magnets. So what else are you seeing that is working now, and how can listeners make it their own to engage with their own audience or who they're trying to go after?
Okay, perfect. I'll talk about two things. And I'm glad you said that word engage, because engagement is the best thing that you can drum up in order to either promote a lead magnet or to have someone give you their email address in other ways, or just to connect with people. We said earlier that email, you're giving someone your email, that's gold. And it's gold for a reason, because people have the option now of who they let into their lives on social media in their emails, right? And they're very careful. And if you don't create that sense of connection, if you don't create that connection, then it's not going to work for you in a positive way, right? So you want to create connection. So let's say you do that. You do use that PDF lead magnet. You do create one, and you have 10 amazing resources on there, or 10 pieces of information, your destination wedding bride, or your family that travel, or your couple that goes on a river cruise, every year, would look like, you're trying to reach those clients. Let's say you have those 10 points. One thing that works really well, and you may have heard this before, that people are always like, how do I find the content? I don't know what to say. What do I write an email about? What do I post about? If you create a 10 point PDF, you have 10 or more, but at least 10 pieces of content that you can use, right? So you have these 10 resources, you take one piece of content and you create an elaborative video on that piece of content, or you create a post, or you create an email of some sort, and you say, hey, if you would like to learn more, here's a link in my bio, or here's a link to download the rest of the resources, right? So you use your current lead magnet, or the content in that lead magnet, to promote the rest of your lead magnet. And what you're doing here, you're building credibility and authority because you're talking about the same topic. So once you start to talk about the same topic over and over and over, people see you as an expert in that field. They see you as an expert on that one particular topic. And people want to do business with people who know what they're talking about. So if you're selling travel, and you're selling family travel and romance travel and Disney and river cruise and solo backpacking across South America, you're selling all of this. You're a general marketer, you're a general travel advisor, and that's fine too. But if you get very specific, or if you want to be seen as an expert in one particular part or niche, then you want to use that type of content, or create that type of content over and over and over again, right? Something else that's working very well now in email marketing is audio. Believe it or not, audio. And you can do that one of two ways. Number one is there are apps that you can use to voice an audio, to create an audio that you can send to a group of people, or you can send it to each person individually. And that it's a very unique way to be able to connect with someone personally, right? So an app like Bonjoro is what it's called. I'm not sure if you're putting these in the show notes, but I can give you all the information.
Yeah,
right?
I've never heard of that one. That's cool.
Yeah, so with Bonjoro, and I use it quite a bit for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if I'm running a special promotion, if I'm launching something and the clients start to come in, I create individual messages using Bonjoro, and it goes directly to their email. And then they're able to respond back to that message. I can also use to send a general message as well to a mass email list. And that way they get to hear my voice, because we're still talking about engagement and connection here. When you hear my voice, we're connecting a little bit deeper, right? Another way that audio works in email is, and this is a very unique way to get people to visit your website as well. So I will create an audio, just like I'm doing now. I will speak into the microphone. I will save the audio file, and then I will upload it to my website. So I'll upload it to themintedlab.com/Nicole's audio September, right? Whenever that is, right? Or Nicole's, give it whatever name you want. And then that's a private link. That's not shared publicly on the website, right? That's a private link. And then I will put that link directly in an email. So I will write the email out, but at the top, I will say, hey, Stephanie, I have some great things to say below, but if you want to listen to me read this email to you instead, click here. And then when you click there, you're not spending time reading the email, right? Because you're doing the dishes, you're going for a walk, you're gonna, whatever, right? You can listen to my voice message because it takes you directly to my website. And then on the website, I will have a call to action. And that call to action for a travel advisor could be some things that you have coming up. Maybe you have a virtual event. Maybe you are going on a trip and you have questions that you want people to ask you, right? Maybe you have a group trip coming up that you're trying to promote. But when they listen to this audio, right below that, there's a call to action that leads them to something else, because people like to be told what to do next, right? And it's great to have a call to action. So those are the two top things that I see. Obviously, there are others, but those two things are working very well right now in email marketing.
That's really cool. And I haven't really heard of that. It's so unique. And the one thing too that I really love that you mentioned is credibility. All of this is
Yeah,
just credibility. So if you keep
right.
going down, because I've landed on websites of travel advisors where I'm like, oh, I want to see, I click here, and then it's like, oh, click here. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I really am intrigued, and you keep
Yes, now
going
you're going down a rabbit hole,
further.
right? Yes.
Yes.
And I've
Yeah.
locked you into the rabbit hole of what I want to share with you. And when next you think of this type of situation or niche, or you're gonna think of me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's such good ideas. And talking about those, so we talked about some of them. The buongiorno, is that what it would be?
Bonjoro. Yeah.
Buongiorno. I just got back
Yes.
from Italy, so now I really just want to say buongiorno. Buongiorno. Perfect. Yes. And then and we'll type these out so people can
Yes,
see
yes.
these. But see, we'll keep you engaged. We'll send you to an article that you can keep going and see how it's working. And then
There you go.
yeah, see? And you mentioned Canva because I was thinking that, if you're going to do a PDF or even just making graphics for something, I love Canva. Canva is amazing. We use it here at Travify all the time too.
Yes,
It's really
yes.
cool. And what are some other tools though available to agents that can just really help make their email marketing lives better? Because we know very busy and they also want to make it, simple, get into it. What are those tools that they can be using?
Well, if they want to keep it simple, hopefully we have no one out there that's using their Outlook or their Gmail as their email service provider, right? Hopefully you're laughing, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's true, right? So, hopefully they're using an email service provider that's going to be able to give them analytics, make their emails deliverable. You'll be surprised, right? That a lot of times emails are not being delivered, but they're also keeping it very simple. And I always say, before you start to think of any tool that you can use in email marketing, make sure it's a tool, because I get this question all the time. What email service provider should I use? My answer is always the one that you're going to use, because people get super complicated and they sign up for ESPs, which are email service providers like ActiveCampaign, which is an awesome tool, but it's very complicated.
Mhm.
Then you have something like Infusionsoft, which we dub Confusionsoft because it's very complicated, right? And so I say use a tool that you're going to use. So something simple like Flowdesk, something simple like ConvertKit. You can always upgrade later, but you want to keep it simple when you are starting out. And you want to keep the price at a minimum, especially, if you're only sending one email a month, there's no reason for you to be spending $100 or something per month to send one email per month, right? So, MailerLite is another good one. MailerLite, Flowdesk, ConvertKit, and there are several others, but and their pricing are, they're very affordable. So I would start, and they're simple to use. I would start there. And then if you want to move your way up from there, then you can go ahead and do that.
That's awesome. And one
Yeah.
thing too, kind of going back to what we were talking about with the email, can you just quickly explain why it's really important to have an email address, that's not just Gmail or Outlook?
Oh my goodness.
This could be its own podcast, maybe.
This could, yes, this could be its own podcast. Maybe we should come back here. No, but it goes back. There are a couple of reasons, but the first one, it goes back to that credibility and authority thing we talked about. When you have an email extension, Nicole's awesome travel at gmail.com, at yahoo.com, it shows that what it says to me and what it says to the clientele that you're trying to reach is that you're still your family's vacation planner, right? Which most travel advisors are, but that's your main job. Your main travel job right now is you're your family's vacation planner. And I kind of want a little bit more than that, right? I kind of want to see that you have established yourself. You have created, a Rolodex. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. A Rolodex of people who are important to the advancement of your business, like suppliers, hotel managers. I want to be able to come to your website and see that. So if you have an extension in your email that is your website, that makes it easier for me to believe what you say, believe what you do. And it also gives me a chance to go to your website as well if I don't have that your website extension very handy. Also too, what it does is a lot of email service providers, a lot of emails will do a bounce back because you have an extension that is not a website. In fact, a lot of ESPs, email service providers now, are asking you to verify your website. I just created a new account with Flowdesk, and it asked me for the very first time. And I've been using Flowdesk for years, but the very first time this week, I created a new account, and it asked me to verify my website using logging into my domain server and putting in a CNAME extension and changing all of that, right? That I've never had to do that before. So they're asking you now to verify your website, which I think is great. It makes it's another barrier to entry, but I think it's fantastic because it's protecting you. It's showing that you have an established business. It's making your email more deliverable, which is what you want, because if your emails are not getting to the people, then it makes absolutely no sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all big thing, and getting and setting up your email too isn't that hard. I can't remember exactly. I know that it depends who you're using your provider through, but if you just look up, just Google how to get it, but it's not too crazy.
It's
Setting
not
it
too
up.
crazy. It's
Yeah.
not. It's super. It's very simple. For sure. And of course, if anyone has any questions, if they want to you have any questions about setting it up, or I'm happy to help. But it's not that crazy.
Yeah, and actually, on that, I was going to have you mention how can people find more information about Aspire Global and just reaching out to you and finding you.
Oh, look at that. So
Yes.
Aspire Global is the marketing arm of my company. So I mentioned to you earlier that I also represent small boutique hotels and tour companies as well. So that's the marketing arm of my business. You can always email me at Nicole at aspireglobal.com. But as far as travel advisor tools and resources go, I have a new product that's called the Minted Lab. And the Minted Lab is a place where you can go, it's launching soon, where you can go to get access to email prompts, fully, completely written emails, templates going to allow you to promote your lead magnet, to build your audience, etc. And you can find more information there at themintedlab.com. But I will say that where I hang out the most, and you will find me on a daily basis, is on Instagram. And on Instagram, I'm at Nicole S. Barrett.
I know. I love Instagram. It's so cool.
Yes.
And I love the name, The Minted Lab. What a fun name. When you
The
said that
minted,
earlier, I was like, that's
freshly
fun.
minted. Yeah, the
Oh, I
freshly
love
minted
that.
product just for you guys. And
It's
of course,
awesome.
it's launching soon, but right now you can join the wait list to find out when it opens at themintedlab.com.
That's what's so cool is that, all for the listeners hearing all this information, some people will be able to run with it and some are like, I need a little bit more. And there's people to help you like Nicole. So
Yes.
that's the great thing. That is really the awesome thing. So I just want to say thank you so much. This is so much amazing advice and just ideas, tips. I mean, even things I had never really thought of, like video and audio. And that is like game changing.
Game
So
changing.
cool.
Listen, we need more ways to connect, and
Yeah.
those right now are the two best ways to do that.
Oh yeah, and especially at this time, travel is just going up and up and up and up,
Yes.
and it will continue to do so. And so
And
it's
not just
just
that
so
too.
cool.
People's what's the word I'm looking for? People's what's the word I'm looking for?
Like
I've lost all the words now, Stephanie.
I know, engagement and yeah.
They don't have a lot of time to read a lot of things.
Yes,
Those are
yes,
the very simple
that's
words I'm
true.
trying to get out of my head,
Yeah,
right?
no, I
So,
totally get
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time. So if they're not going to be able to read, 10 paragraphs all the time. But if you can connect with them via video or audio, they have time for that because they're multitasking while they're doing that.
Yeah, no, it's just you were just stuck with words because you just had so many great things that came out. And now you're like, your brain's like, wait, time, pause.
Time pause. But if I can just say one quick thing,
Yes,
right?
please.
Because I know we're getting to wrap up, but if I could just say one quick thing about that is it goes back to what we were saying about showing up. and believing that you don't have the content or the confidence to show up and talk about what your product's about or talk about the resources that you have or how you can help people is, you and I are talking and we're talkers, but we make mistakes sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that piece right there, like when someone hears you fumble, that's, my friend, is liquid, not even liquid, it is gold. Okay.
Yeah.
It is gold because they see themselves in you and they're like, oh my gosh, if Nicole can fumble, if Stephanie can fumble, then I can do it too. Just show up as you are, build an audience of people who absolutely love you for you, because those are the people who are going to engage with you. And those are the people who are going to buy from you in the long run.
Yes.
So,
That
yeah.
is vital. Oh, thank you for
It's
sharing that, because
vital.
it's so true. We always have to, say that, like, with social media and everything, because you're putting yourself out there. And it's really scary to do that.
It's
Totally get
very
it.
scary.
But it's
It's
okay because
because we
it's
all want
real.
people to like us, right? We want
Mm-hmm.
everyone to like us, and that is where we fall. But statistics have shown that if 100 people follow you, 50%, 50 of them will never buy from you at all, right? 25 of them or 25% will buy from you over the course of your relationship with them. And another 25% or 25 will buy from you immediately. And those, my friend, that 25 and that other 25, those are the people who we're going for. And we cannot get them if we don't show up as our true and authentic selves. We don't care about the other 50. Let them go, get over it,
Yeah.
right? But when your emails, your videos should connect with that other 50%.
I love that. That's so good. Yes. No. Oh, this has been awesome. It's so much good words of wisdom, tips, advice. We got it all on this episode. So this is really great. So that's so much.
Good.
Yes. This is awesome. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this episode of the Lounge of Travefy Academy. And thank you so much to our special guest, Nicole, for joining us here today. This was really fun. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast or subscribe to our YouTube channel for all of the latest episodes. And we hope you enjoyed our conversation today and join us again. But for now, stay safe and we'll catch you on the next flight.